For murdered college students.
Latah County Coroner just a few hours ago. Cathy Mabbutt is...
Cathy, with a C, Mabbutt.
Cathy Mabbutt.
Cathy, with a C, Mabbutt, M-A-B-B-U-T-T. I've been doing it for 16 years, and I just got reelected for another 4.
Cathy Mabbutt.
I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
I showed up around 4:30. You know, the sheriff came around 4:30, and then he told us that there were 4 victims, and we said, "Is one of them Maddie Morgan?" And he told us yes. And we realized that it was Kaylee and Maddie.
We still knew she was going down.
Well, law enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there, and they'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. I don't really need to be there for that. They can't move the bodies. I mean, the bodies have to stay as they were until the coroner gets there. So those are really that's what my job is, to look at the bodies. Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene with 4 murdered college students.
That front, Mrs. Gonsalves related to NBC a bizarre and disturbing incident involving the coroner, Cathy Mabbutt. She says that she herself has never spoken with this coroner, but that her 17-year-old daughter has. That would be Kaylee's teenage sister. She says the coroner spoke on the phone with the teenager and gave graphic details of how her sister was murdered when out.
Well, we just, next thing you know, some more phones started ringing. Our daughters that came running down, 16 and 17 years old, came and said, "Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead." And we're like, "What? Like, who was it?" She's like, "I don't know, it's somebody that said that they're there and Kaylee's dead."
I believe that the press release was that they were from a sharp object.
Cathy Mabbutt. Cathy Mabbutt.
So
stabbings.
Yeah, we'll know more after the autopsies tomorrow.
Latah County Coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims, determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. We know
it's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death. Toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer, but they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is. But I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is.
Were the deceased all in close proximity to each other, or were they in different rooms?
I don't know that I can discuss that. Well, looking to see if there are some clues that are on them. Some of the suspects' blood, perhaps, or something under somebody's fingernails. I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
It was fast, and nobody suffered and nobody felt like that kind of pain.
It was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. I mean, it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death. Pretty traumatic when there's 4 dead college students who have been stabbed to death in one location.
I've never heard verbiage like that from anyone in the medical legal field. Yeah, something would be off, and I don't know, maybe he's not quite understanding what's being said, but he's using very specific language that.
It was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. I mean, it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
Here, let's just break it down real quick, all right? When you're using an edged weapon, tearing is not something that's associated with that, okay? Tearing creates this, where you have connective tissue or you have tissue bridging. Most of the time that's connected with lacerations, and lacerations are associated with blunt force trauma. The coroner's never mentioned anything about blunt force. You have 2 choices with sharp force injuries. You either have stabs, okay, or you have incised wounds, which are slices. Slices are longer than they are deep. Stabs are deeper than they are.
I'm very sorry for this man's loss, but he's not the person I'm going to go to for an analysis of injuries. I'm still waiting to hear from the medical examiner, who I think or the forensic pathologist who is contracted to do these examinations over in Spokane. All right, coroner, just so everybody knows, the coroner is not an MD here. She's certainly not a forensic pathologist. She didn't do these. These bodies would have been transferred over. How does he assess that these injuries are different? Did he see this other victim's body? Was he the one drawing this conclusion? I doubt that that's the case. So is he saying that the coroner sat there and said, your child's injuries are so much more worse than any other victim? That's what I have a real problem with here. First off, I don't know how accurate that is. And secondly, and I think bigger, it's very disrespectful to these other victims. Very disrespectful to these victims and their families to say this.
The target really does bother me, because no one can win in that kind of terminology. It just makes us all feel like, please don't be my child, that's the target.
So you're telling me that in the darkness or whatever the lighting situation was, that this individual, the perpetrator, this monster, came out of the dark and was able to identify this specific individual and target her, because that's what's being implied here, that she was specifically targeted. Ergo, that how this is demonstrated is the fact that her injuries were so much more robust than any other injuries that anybody might have had. I just don't see how he's arriving at that conclusion. That it would have taken some level of strength, particularly with the first victims.
This Cathy Mabbutt, I don't know what this lady's doing. I don't know what she's done. I don't know what she's talked to. If she's talked to the Gonsalves' young daughter, what could she have? I mean, when I heard Mrs. Gonsalves be like, yeah, my 17-year-old, 16-year-old daughters come running down and saying that Kaylee's dead. Honestly, if you guys have not watched it, even if you have watched it, I encourage you to go back and watch Chronicles of Olivia, her interview with them again. I never cried over this case, and I don't cry over many cases at all. I really don't. I try to separate that, and I think I do a pretty good job at it. But I was watching that video, and they're with Olivia, and obviously she makes them very comfortable. I will get some tinfoil hat merch, I promise. That's something I can work on. I have a lot of time. I've had a lot of time, uninterrupted time to work on this stuff. Gosh, I get so much done when I'm not interrupted. But Olivia, it made them comfortable. They're so comfortable. They're in their home. They're in their element. They're not sitting in front of the Moscow police with the Fox News people. I mean, they're in their home, and the parents are flanked around Olivia, the daughter, the Gonsalves. And when they, at first they're talking about memories and they're laughing, and it's nice to see them able to reminisce about Kaylee. But then they get into that morning and they start talking about November 13th. And that is when I cried, and I'm not a crier, and it hurt my heart to hear about the chaos of that afternoon for them. It's insanity. And to think, and I'm having a really hard time getting my YouTube to load for some reason. But to think that they found out at 4:30. They said the sheriff came knocking at their door at around 4:30. But this lady didn't get there until 5:30. Miss Mabbutt. Make that make sense. And they heard about it prior to that. And if you listen to Olivia's full interview, you'll hear this. But prior to that, they were calling hospitals. They were calling police. They were calling Maddie's phone. Nobody answered. And nobody would give them answers. When they called the police, in this interview, they state that when they called the police, they said that they could not confirm anything and that they'd have to call them back. What the fuck? And then they say, another thing that blew my mind was they say that Karen is Maddie Mogen's mom, that they called Karen, and she was on her way to Moscow because she had gotten a call that there was an accident. Then they get information that Kaylee was shot. What? I mean, I get that the game of telephone, makes things change. But we go from an accident, shot, then we have Mabbutt. Yeah, I don't think the toxicology is going to be important. And then she says, but yeah, it'll depend on how relevant the toxicology is. What? Then you have Mrs. Gonsalves saying, I have never spoken to this coroner. I don't know who she is, but my 17-year-old daughter did. Justice A to Z, she does not state that. She says that she got a call a little after 12. So I've got the video. Let me get it right here on the screen, and then we're going to walk through this. Because it's just messed up. It just doesn't make sense when you put it all together. I know you guys want to see her up close and personal, so just bear with me. I got to crop it. Oh, there's a lot to unpack in this too. And then at the end, because I was listening to Steve G talk about the wounds and the targeting, and I forgot about the whole stalking story. So Kaylee informed her friends that she was followed by 2 men, and it freaked her out. Who were the 2 men? Because we know she didn't make that story up, right? So who were the 2 men that were spooking Kaylee? What did you tell Adam? I told Adam everything. And what did that dude say? They're going to get you guys. Some shit like that. I don't know. Oh, it just all makes me ill. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start our video, and then I'll be pausing periodically, and then we'll talk through it, okay? And Angie, you enjoy yourself. I want you to spend your family time. Family time, family time. That is so important. I'm so happy for you. So happy for you. Okay, here we go.
Cathy, with a C, Mabbutt, M-A-B-B-U-T-T.
And I'm going to ask you, how long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing it for 16 years, and I just got reelected for another 4. I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first, so I didn't actually go to the scene until...
Wait, this is the wrong video. This is Cathy Mabbutt. This one's called Cathy with a C. It's the wrong freaking video. Sorry about that. Cathy with a fucking C. She had to make sure they spelled it right. What a douche. Sorry, Cathy. I can't with you. Here we go. All right, here's my presentation, y'all.
For murdered college students.
Latah County Coroner just a few hours ago. Cathy Mabbutt is...
Cathy, with a C, Mabbutt.
Cathy Mabbutt.
Cathy, with a C, Mabbutt, M-A-B-B-U-T-T. I've been doing it for 16 years, and I just got reelected for another 4.
Town, dude. Cathy Mabbutt.
I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first.
This is the first place we're going to stop. I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation. Okay. This is straight from the Latah County website. And it states, law enforcement responds to all emergency calls and are often the first to arrive on scene. Their experience, training, and resources that are available to them enable the coroner to carry out as complete of an investigation as possible. So she's supposed to do an investigation in collaboration with law enforcement. But she's wringing her hands saying, well, I couldn't be there. So did they tell her, don't come? Was she busy on Sunday? Was she in mass or church? What was she doing? Was it her choice not to come, or was she told not to come? Oh, for sure, Lee. She's nervous. She seems nervous. But if you're this nervous, why are you talking? Makes you wonder. Let's listen to that part again.
4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
I showed up around 4:30. You know, the sheriff came around 4:30, and then he told us that there were 4 victims, and we said, is one of them Maddie Morgan? And he said, told us yes. Then we realized that it was Kaylee and Maddie.
We still knew she was going down.
Well, law enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there, and they'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. I just...
Welcome, Potato. Good to see you. Okay, so it says here on the Latah County site that she's supposed to carry out an investigation. No, 4:30 in the afternoon. Right? Did they say 4:30 a.m.? If they did, I missed that. Hold on. Let's listen again, because I don't know if EMTs weren't allowed in, you guys, because the statement that Nickerson made was that they didn't need to go in. They never entered, because when they got there, they figured out it wasn't an unconscious person. Thanks for that reminder, Shell. I wasn't on live chat. Now I am. Hold on, let's play that again.
I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
I showed up around 4:30. You know, the sheriff came around 4:30, and then he told us that there were 4 victims, and we said, is one of them Maddie?
Okay, no. They found out at 4:30 in the afternoon. They found out that afternoon. Okay, here we go.
And he said, told us yes. Then we realized that it was Kaylee and Maddie.
We still knew she was going down.
Well, law enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there, and they'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. I don't really need to be there for that. They can't move the bodies. I mean, the bodies have to stay as they were until the coroner gets there. So that's what my job is, to look at the bodies.
Okay, now we've got to talk about this. So she states she doesn't need to be there during the investigation process. I don't need to be there. Moscow knows what they're doing. This type of shit happens all the time. So she didn't go till 5:30. Now, we have 2 probable cause affidavits written out. One by Blaker and one by, wait, let's do this again. One by Blaker and one by Payne. That's about right. So Blaker makes no mention of this sheath right here. No mention, never seen it, saw it. Blaker later says, oh, I later saw it. Or was it, wait, maybe I'm wrong. Blaker doesn't mention it, Payne does. So Payne sees the knife sheath, Blaker does not, on the first round of the house with Officer Smith. Now, Officer Smith is sitting at the desk at the Moscow PD. He's got desk work. He's working at the desk. We don't know why. Why was Officer Smith desk work? Don't know. But he's working the desk. This 911 call comes through on Whitcom. And he says, well, I'll be damned. I've got to run over there now because there's an unconscious individual. So Smith gets there first. Oh, it was later on body cam review. Interesting. Are you sure about that, Mandy? Because that makes a huge difference. Because if it was underneath Madison Mogen, how did he see it on body cam? How did he see it on body cam? Because she just said they can't move these bodies until she gets there. She didn't get there till 5 or 5:30. So was Payne still there? What was going on? Is she on the body cam? Is Mabbutt on the body cam? Walking through with Payne. That's what we need to know. We can't know. But wouldn't it be interesting to find out if Kathleen Mabbutt with a C is on the body cam with Payne when he saw this sheath? Because it says it was either under or next to. And they don't have to be specific in a PCA. They can leave things up in the air. He said he saw it from the doorway, but he also said under or next to. And what was interesting is that Steve G and his wife, Christy, made a really interesting comment. Steve and Christy Gonsalves said that they take some comfort in thinking and hoping that their daughter may have helped solve her own death by snatching away the knife sheath eventually used to tie Kohberger to the killings. I hope that maybe in a struggle, she pulled it off of him, Christy Gonsalves said. It's a checkmate type moment, Steve Gonsalves added. The two said they hope for a conviction and the death penalty. He chose over and over to end people's lives, and that has to be accounted for. So could that have been why it ended up on the bed? Could one of them, maybe not Kaylee, but maybe Maddie grabbed it? So that was interesting. And then in the PCA, I'll pull that up really fast, because I think it said next to or on or underneath. Let's see. And I wanted to let you guys know too, I did talk to the media person at Latah County Courthouse. He was very nice, and he let me know that what we're going to be able to do, and I think we're going to be able to air it. It's just going to be like on a delay. Like the pool camera is going to be on a delay. So I think that's how it's going to go. Don't quote me on that, but more info to come, because I did send a return email with some more questions for him. So I need to still check that. Oh, that was the dog. He didn't realize the dog was there. So we're expecting the dog to just be quiet while the cops are going through, and he's hearing all this madness and he knows that his owner is dead. Not quite sure I'm buying that. Not quite sure I'm picking up what he's laying down, but who am I? I'm just, J is for justice. All right, so I don't have the PCA right. I don't have it right here, but I do believe that it did say, let me see if this is it. Nope. I do think it said next to or under. Oh, Mandy Jo. Look at Mandy. Mandy, I later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. Who is that quoted from? Blaker or Payne? Because one of them said next to or under. Damn, it's going to bother me now. So he didn't get there till 4. And then interesting, the sheriff department goes to the Gonsalves family at 4:30 to tell them that there's 4 victims. And in the meantime, Karen, Madison Mogan's mother, was still driving to Moscow. They found out 10 minutes before Karen arrived, or something along those lines. Hold on 1 second. Where did I get under? I read that somewhere in that PCA. I swear I did. I'm going to have to look into that. You guys are probably looking into it right now. Let's continue our video. But at any rate, if it was underneath, that was my point. They're not supposed to move the bodies.
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was, yeah, it was a very sad scene with 4 murdered college students.
That front, Mrs. Gonsalves related to NBC a bizarre and disturbing incident involving the coroner, Cathy Mabbutt. She says that she herself has never spoken with this coroner, but that her 17-year-old daughter has. That would be Kaylee's teenage sister. She says the coroner spoke on the phone with the teenager and gave graphic details of how her sister was murdered.
Okay, this is a huge yikes. This is where Mrs. Gonsalves says that she never even spoke to this woman, but her daughter did, who was 17. What kind of professionalism or lack of professionalism is this? I feel like everybody, why is she calling each individual family to give details of each individual person? And you're going to hear Joseph Scott Morgan say how weird this is. He can't believe it. And he's like, I don't know where he's getting this info. At first he thinks like Steve G is full of shit, but then he's like, he's using some really, particular terminology that the normal layperson wouldn't use. So he was like, I don't know what this lady's doing. But imagine if you're Brian Koberger's defense. This alone is so weird. You could pick this apart in so many ways. Potato, there is somewhere that said under or next to. It was one of those officers' accounts. Or was it an update from one of the PD? Was it one of the press conferences maybe? I can't remember. I could have sworn I read it though.
out.
Well, we just, next thing you know, some more phones started ringing. Our daughters that came running down, 16 and 17 years old, came and said, Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead. And we're like, what? Like, who was it? She's like, I don't know, it's somebody that said that they're there and Kaylee's dead.
The emotion on his face right here, it gets me. He's hearing his wife tell this story. Ugh, it just breaks my heart. No family should ever have to even be saying these words, man.
Some more phones started ringing. Our daughters that came running down, 16 and 17 years old, came and said, Mom, somebody just called me and said that Kaylee's dead. And we're like, what? Like, who was it? She's like, I don't know, it's somebody that said that they're there and Kaylee's dead.
I believe that the
Okay. Whew. All right. So, if Mrs. Gonsalves did not talk to her, I wonder if this lady called their house and the sister answered. She visited the crime scene. Visited. This is her words. Cathy Mabbutt visited the crime scene. Cathy with a C visited.
The county coroner.
Unbelievable.
I believe that the press release was that they were from a sharp object.
Didn't she write the fucking report?
Cathy Mabbutt. Cathy Mabbutt.
So, yep. So she wrote the report and she's like, I believe the press report said. Did someone write it for her? One made nut. You know that an Idaho 4 conversation is not complete without you. Welcome. Eddie! What have you done for me lately, Eddie? What have you done for me lately? The corruption runs deep. So my question is this what you get when you have someone who really doesn't have accountability in their job, and then all of a sudden the world is looking and they're like, what is going on? One more thing. Why does everybody have the same backdrop? Why is this wood on an angle in Einan's house, in those apartments, 500 Queen Road? Where is she? I demand a walk through the coroner's office because I'm wondering where the fuck this is. Because it looks like it's one of those apartments. She must have like the high ceilings for juggling too, right? I don't know. He does not know. Thank you, Mandy Jo.
So stabbings. Yeah, I will know more after the autopsies tomorrow.
Latah County Coroners conducted autopsies, and detectives have been provided with the results of those autopsies. We know that the autopsies confirmed the identity of the 4 victims.
We know.
Determined the cause and manner of death as homicide by stabbing, and determined that it was likely all 4 victims were asleep during the attack. Some of the victims had defensive wounds, and each victim was stabbed multiple times. We know
It's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death.
Okay, I hate to break it to Miss Cathy, but her job description is a little more than determining the cause and manner. And we're going to read through Title 19, Chapter 43, Section 19301 of the Idaho Code. The coroner, as soon as she is informed that a person in her county has died as a result of violence, whether apparently homicidal, suicidal, or accidental, so no matter fucking what, under suspicious or unknown circumstances, or B, when not attended by a physician during his or her last illness, and the cause of death cannot be certified by a physician, shall go to place of death and take charge of the body. An investigation into the events leading up to the person's death shall commence in cooperation with the appropriate law enforcement agency. In cooperation with being the key phrase here. The coroner may authorize an autopsy to be performed by a licensed physician to aid in accurately and scientifically determining the cause and manner of death. The coroner shall also prepare a written report of the factual information gathered during the course of such an investigation. So that's what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to work in conjunction with the cops. But she's saying, I didn't need to be there because the cops were there. I didn't need to be there, but that's what your job is. But she's saying, my job is to determine the cause and manner. No, and really the autopsies do that. She orders it. But what's crazy is, like, this lady, I was reading about her position, and she has the authority to order an autopsy even if no one else agrees. She can order an autopsy, and she can say, you know what, I have reason to believe X, Y, and Z. And I think that an autopsy should be completed. And she can get that done. So let's say, for example, for shits and giggles, let's say these people all four overdosed on fentanyl that night. Let's say this is hypothetical. And she got to the scene at 5 or 5:30, and she thought that the scene was a bit staged. So she wasn't sure. Or she thought, I wonder what happened first. The stabbings or maybe a possible overdose. So she can override that and say, I'm just not sold on this stabbing as a cause of death. I'm thinking that we need to have an autopsy done and order toxicology. She can do that. But she's also a defense attorney. Make that shit make sense. I agree with you, for the record, Your Honor, and I agree with you, one maiden nut. All right, let's continue.
Toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is. But I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is.
How do you say both of these statements in the same interview? How do you say these statements in the interview? You, in one hand, say, toxicology is not going to be important. And then you end it with, well, it depends on how important the toxicology is. What is she expecting from the toxicology? What was she expecting from that toxicology? I don't know. Will we ever know? Because I still have questions about the Watts toxicology reports. Let's listen to her contradictions about the toxicology. She loves that she's schooling these reporters on what her job is. But she's really fumbling here, really fumbling. Miss Robin.
Right. They usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner.
I just caught something. They might. Did you guys catch that? She said, they might. And then she stopped and she said, I don't think they're going to be relevant into the manner and cause of death. They might. What? Wait a second. We're going to rewind again. We're going to be kind and rewind to Cathy with a C.
Toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is. But I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is.
Were the deceased all in close proximity to each other, or were they in different rooms?
Right. They usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant.
Insert the okay. Let me watch it again. Should we slow it down a little bit? Just kidding. They might, but I don't think they will be. Ooh, she stopped herself. All right, let's slow it down and let's see her eyes.
Toxicology reports, right. They usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual.
I mean, what else would she say with they might? Like, what else would follow that other than they might be relevant? Or something about, they might something. Oh yeah, this is, oh my God. It reminds you of the WFLA waiting room music. Yes, this is my music I added. It's from Epidemic Sound. I can't with JB's music. JB, we need to stand down. Eagle 8's out of fuel. They might be relevant, they might not.
Toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is. But I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death. It just depends on how relevant the toxicology report is.
Were the deceased all in close proximity to each other, or were they in different rooms?
I don't know that I can discuss that.
She just got done saying how bloody it was, talking about the college or the toxicology, dead college kids, and all the reporter asked was, "Can you tell us where they were in proximity to each other?" And she's like, I don't think so. I don't think they've decided. I don't think they've decided where they're gonna say they were yet. I mean, what the fuck? So here we have a rundown on the screen of what Cathy with a C has said. They might get the reports back quicker. Oh, maybe. Crime, lies, and videotape. You know what? In all fairness, that definitely could be what she meant. You're right. Because she said it'd take 4 to 6 weeks, and then she said they might. And then she said, I don't think they're going to be relevant. You could be 100% right. That's so true. So true. Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. And somebody else did too. Jammers coming in with some facts. Mabbutt opened the Mabbutt Law Office in June 2003. The office handles criminal defense, divorces, custody cases, and simple wills. So we have a rundown, like I said, on the screen. This is Cathy Mabbutt's words. They were killed by a, quote, bigger knife, extensive, in quotes, injuries from multiple stab wounds. The wounds varied in different places people were stabbed and the amount of times. All right, going forward. Hold on, we gotta stop again.
Well,
so here's what she would not say. She would not say where they were found in the home. And she would not talk about defensive wounds, showing they attempted to fight back. Dang, Mabbutt. That's great, crime solver. Dag, Mabbutt. Hey, Mr. Mojo Rising. You guys, if you weren't here earlier, we talked about members, aka loungers. We're gonna have a tinfoil hat making party. So please, if you'd like to become a member, you can make your own design. You can have it look like a whatever the fuck you want. But we're gonna do a tinfoil hat making party, members stream only. All right, so let's keep going. So she wouldn't say where they were found, and she wouldn't talk about defensive wounds.
well, looking to see if there are some clues that are on them. Some of the suspects' blood, perhaps, or something under somebody's fingernails. I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
Okay, so she's talking about this is part of the investigation she's supposed to do, right? Like whatever could be found on them, bagging the hands, etc., etc. These are all things that she couldn't have done because she wasn't there, right? She wasn't there until 5:30, unless those things didn't get done until then. I don't know. What's that, Lee Knoll? Remember the photo with Maddie holding the big knife and Xana about to throw a watermelon? Yeah, vaguely. It was like a video or something. I do remember that. It was like a machete or something. Crime Solver loves crime crafts. All right. Okay, let's keep going.
It was fast, and nobody suffered and nobody felt like that kind of pain.
It was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. I mean, it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death. Pretty traumatic.
Okay. I don't mean to laugh, but she gets all sassy in this next interview with her files behind her. This time she doesn't have like broken blinds behind her. She's got her files from 1897. Those are all the cases she's had in Latah County since 1897 behind her. Okay, so you think it was a machete, Lenal? Maybe there was 2 weapons, you know? One made a nut. You have a really good point. If the coroner arrives on scene, then does she document that on a log sheet? How can she not know if it was 5 or 5:30? Right. She's just going off the top of her head. Wouldn't it be smarter to have notes in front of you? But she gets really sassy. This is after the first interview, and now she's like, well, it's pretty traumatic. Well, in your first interview, you were cold and callous. So excuse us for thinking that you have a cold heart. I know, she still has that background, dude. I'm telling you. She's at 500 Queen Road in an apartment. I'm just kidding. Okay, so here she is saying it had to be a really big knife. This is her words.
It's a pretty large knife, so.
Oh yes, she said a Rambo cut. She did. As one, divided we fall. Hashtag TMC. Yes, I remember that. You are so right.
It's really hard to call them puncture wounds. I mean, it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
So now she's stating what the perpetrator felt. Robin, your comment just gives me exactly what I was going to share with you guys. Mood. Your comment is mood, and this picture is mood. Check it. Have you guys missed the doggies as much as me? This is Bella. Listening to Cathy Mabbutt. This is Bella. She's like, are you freaking kidding me? She reminds me of my Aunt Barb. She is an Aunt Barb. We have Karens, and now we have Aunt Barbs, okay? And Bella feels the pain. She's like, get the fuck out of here with your Rambo knife talking ass. Oh my God.
Pretty traumatic when there's 4 dead college students in, who have been stabbed to death in one location.
I've never heard verbiage like that from anyone in the medical legal field.
We really don't need to go much further. But this is Joseph Scott Morgan. And if you don't know who Joseph Scott Morgan is, he hosts a podcast called Body Bags with Joseph Scott Morgan. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. He is talking with Law and Crime Sidebar Jesse Weber in this video. Chelsea Taylor, thank you for your super chat. She says, can someone please tell me how and why JLR had an unredacted portion of the PCA regarding the rideshare? Is this available somewhere online? Yeah, the Pennsylvania PCA was not redacted, so we know it's Eric Gower, and his wife works for the Moscow Police Department. She's the records girl. When I do a public records request, I'm getting a request back from Katie Gower. That's her. The girl on 2020, the friend of the victims, Katie, that's her. You can go on their website. You can see on the Moscow police website her picture, Katie Gower. I do records. And it's her husband. I don't know why he was working. He works at UI, and he works in the Upward Bound program. We've talked about this. He helps like low income. He goes to high schools, and he gets like low income students to come to UI. So that's who Gower is. Eric and Katie Gower. But the one in Pennsylvania was not redacted. That's why you have it. So if you go to the one that they released from the searches in Pennsylvania, you can see that name is still in there. So that's how we found out who Eric Gower was. And thank you so much, Chelsea. That was a really good point to bring up too. So let's continue. This is Joseph Scott Morgan and from Body Bags podcast, and he was on Law and Crime with Jesse Weber.
Yeah, something would be off, and I don't know, maybe he's not quite understanding what's being said, but he's using very specific language that.
It was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. It has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
Here, let's just break it down real quick, all right? When you're using an edged weapon, tearing is not something that's associated with that, okay? Tearing creates this, where you have connective tissue or you have tissue bridging. Most of the time that's connected with lacerations, and lacerations are associated with blunt force trauma. The coroner's never mentioned anything about blunt force. You have 2 choices with sharp force injuries. You either have stabs, okay, or you have incised wounds, which are slices.
Let's break this down. He says you have stabs or slices. He's like, you don't get tears from a sharp-edged object. Hello, Disneyland. So yeah, he's like, what is this woman talking about?
Slices are longer than they are deep. Stabs are deeper than they are. Or you have incised wounds, which are slices. Slices are longer than they are deep. Stabs are deeper than they are.
I'm very sorry for this man's loss, but he's not the person I'm going to go to for an analysis of injuries. I'm still.
Okay, so let's listen to that part again. Sorry, I sneezed.
Incised wounds, which are slices. Slices are longer than they are deep. Stabs are deeper than they are.
Okay, so stabs are deeper than they are long. Slices are longer than they are deep. So we've got this coroner lady who states that her job is to look at the bodies. She's calling them like tears and shit. Welcome, Mary P. Good afternoon. Happy Thursday.
I'm very sorry for this man's loss, but he's.
And then, okay, so then he kind of gets like on to Steve, like, sorry for this man's loss, but he's not one I'm going to be asking about the wounds. Well, it's not Steve's fault. I mean, he did an interview and he was asked about what he was told by this coroner lady. And he stated these like terms that a layperson would not normally use. So we have to assume it probably came from her. Crystal, I don't think she had anyone running against her. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Mabbutt had an opponent.
Not the person I'm going to go to for an analysis of injuries. I'm still waiting to hear from the medical examiner, who I think are the forensic pathologist who is contracted to do these examinations over in Spokane. All right, coroner. Just so everybody knows, the coroner is not an MD here. She's certainly not a forensic pathologist. She didn't do these. These bodies would have been transferred over. How does he assess that these injuries are different? Did he see this other victim's body? Was he the one drawing this conclusion? I doubt that that's the case.
So he says right here, I doubt it's the case that he was assessing this situation. Why would he do that? So he's saying this shit came from the coroner, but he can't figure out why. Who was the cop that stepped down from the case because he has a kid at UI? Barrett. Tyson Barrett.
So is he saying that the coroner sat there and said, your child's injuries are so much more worse than any other victim? That's what I have a real problem with here. First off, I don't know how accurate that is. And secondly, and I think bigger, it's very disrespectful to these other victims. Very disrespectful to these victims and their families to say this.
The target really does bother me because no one can win in that kind of terminology. It just makes us all feel like, please don't be my child, that's the target.
So you're telling me that in the darkness or whatever the lighting situation was, that this individual...
Okay, so Steve G makes mention again of the target. I know the coroner is not an MD here. And please don't let my kid be the target. But he did come out later on GMA and he even said, and I couldn't find the clip, and I don't know if it's been taken down or what, but I remember him talking about Kaylee's liver being sliced. If anybody can find that, I know, and if you doubt that this motherfucker did it, there's more to this story, or there was side shit going on for sure. Look at this motherfucker. Come on. I can't even look at him without chills going down my spine, honestly. So yeah, I sped it up a little bit because A, copyright issues, and B, it was long and I wanted it to go faster. So don't be fooled by that. That's just... It is so cold here. We had a frost warning last night. You guys, I don't even know what to do with myself. She's an amazing attorney. Yeah, he talked about her liver, and he talked about her lungs too. I knew it was organs. Steve is just relaying what he has heard, says one maiden nut. This guy speaking, I forget his name, sounds like he's almost trying to do a fix on the fact that SG has spoke publicly on the differences in the wounds. Interesting. Yeah, and there's more to this law and crime interview, and he did kind of come at Steve a little bit. But then he also did say that, he doesn't think that Steve's making this stuff up. And I think maybe he's trying to put together that this person who's supposed to be a professional coroner is actually doing the things that the Gonsalves family has said they're doing. And another tidbit, and we're going to go over this. I don't know if you guys watched the commencements from UI when they gave the posthumous, or however you say that, degrees. Clear disconnect between Karen Mogan, whatever her name is now, Karen Laramie, and Maddie Mogan's dad, Ben. When they came up to get her diploma, clearly separate, completely separate. Karen had her arm in her husband's arm, and poor Ben came up afterwards by himself. for the photo op of holding her degree. It was really sad to watch, because that tells me there's a lot of strife. If they can't come together on that stage it was literally like 2 minutes. It was like 2 minutes, and they couldn't even come together in conjunction for Maddie Mogen's degree. It tells me there's a lot of strife, which is sad. All right, let's keep going.
That's the target.
So you're telling me that in, I don't know, in the darkness or whatever the lighting situation was, that this individual, the perpetrator, this monster, came out of the dark and was able to identify this specific individual and target her, because that's what's being implied here, that she was specifically targeted. Ergo, that how this is demonstrated is the fact that her injuries were so much more robust than any other injuries that anybody might have had. I just don't see Ace arriving at that conclusion.
So he's baffled at this targeting word. So Joseph Scott Morgan is taking the incident. We've got a quadruple stabbing. We've got 2 victims up, 2 victims down. And hey, back in the USSR. You know what? That reminds me, I got to download that song. So he's, really perplexed by this targeting. So Joseph Scott Morgan is only talking about targeting in the fact that, like you're walking into the house and you're looking for a specific person. But to me, if Brian was outside and he perhaps knew the 2 girls were in the room together, I just don't think that makes sense. Like, I don't think that that's how you should rationalize this. He's only rationalizing it one way, I guess. That when he walked in the darkness, he had to find his target. Like, he may have known where his fucking target was. I mean, that place had no window coverings, right? None. Maybe in the front, but in the back, you could see straight in there. So why wouldn't he know where his target was at 4 a.m? Especially when DoorDash just dropped off food. Yeah, Mary P., I noticed that, but he backed down after they arrested Brian and Brian appeared in court was when he backed down. I literally was going through all their interviews, and after court, the headline on News Garbage Nation was, "All is forgiven." What? I don't watch News Nation, so I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and watch it and see if the Gonsalves family said all is forgiven. But I did see Steve G saying when he saw Brian in court that he saw someone who looked defeated. And I don't know if this is grief blinding him or what the dealio is, but I didn't see Brian being defeated or succumbing to anything in that courtroom, personally. Rochelle Rivera. Steve does refer to Maddie as his daughter in multiple statements. So when he said my daughters, he calls them his girls. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't dig that. I think that situation is a little bizarre. But I don't know the ins and outs of their dynamics or Maddie's family's dynamics or anything like that, and it's not really my place to talk on it since I don't know. But it rubs me a certain way, but everybody's different. Just Mike's, yeah. I mean, he said you have 2 options with stabbing. You have slicing and you have stab wounds, right? With a knife. Slicing is longer, not as deep. Stabs are deeper and not as long. It was just weird to see how his demeanor changed after the court thing. He was just like, oh, I see a guy that really knows he messed up. Like, I kind of felt bad for him. I was like, what? Maybe that's just a stage of grief. I don't know. It sounds like Maddie lived with them, though. So I'm not sure what these dynamics are that her parents didn't have her. And it's just unfortunate because the same thing goes for Xana Kernodle and her sister. Xana Kernodle and her sister were taken away by social services, or whatever you want to call it, Child Protective Services, and when they were smaller, and they were, I think they went to live with family members, but same thing, drug charges. No, and I get that they call you mom, like when they come over. My boys' friends did that too. But in a death situation, to claim ownership over someone else's kid is a little bizarre, in my opinion. And that's all I'm going to say. It depends on the circumstance. Like, oh, you know, your kid's friends come over and they're like, oh, hey, mom. That's a lot different than that friend dying and you going on national TV saying, my son. I just think it's different. Daisy says, I think them sleeping in the same bed was a little weird. I do too, but I still am not like directly sold on the fact that Kaylee wasn't in her bed to begin with. I don't know if we know the truth on that, because I could see Kaylee being in her own bed, hearing something, or needing to use the restroom and hearing something maybe in Maddie's room. Because I think this has more to do with Maddie, but that's just me. The cops had a really big interest in Maddie. But I'm not convinced that they went to sleep in a little bed like that together. I feel like because the dog was in Kaylee's room, that maybe she got up and went to the bathroom, or, you know, heard something and then shut the door behind her so Murphy wouldn't get loose. And then maybe that's when something happened. And that's when Murphy, you know, started moving about and, you know, trying to get to the door or whatever he was doing, poor dog. But maybe that's what happened. So I don't know. It could be, you know, we just don't know. Because the phone calls to Jack came from both their phones. And the calls ended at 2:52 a.m. Did Brian wait for that light to go off and that upstairs, you know, for everything to go off? And then did he go in? I don't know, man. A lot of you guys think that she went to go check on Maddie or heard something. Because you got to remember, Dylan's room was right below. And that's another thing we were lied to about in the beginning. They were all on, the two surviving roommates were on the first floor. No, they weren't, you know. But Dylan's room was right below Maddie's. So if you hear commotion, you'd hear it from Maddie's room, I would think, more so than Kaylee's room. But then if you go in that hallway area of their house where the stairs are, you're going to have an echo in that area too, you know. So let's keep watching because his face is freaking me out.
It would have taken some level of strength, particularly with the first victims, and willpower in order to bring this about. You know, you're going to, because you're fighting two individuals at the time. I go back to this idea of co-sleeping in this context. You've got two victims that are there before you if you're the perpetrator and you're attacking both of them with a knife. Again, I don't see how you can be targeting someone, specifically physically targeting someone, and you're having to fend off both individuals, because we don't know anything about the sequencing of death at this point either. Keep that in mind. That's very important here, because we don't know anything about the postmortem interval. They still don't have this timeline figured out as well.
Okay, so he says, you know, you have to take into consideration if you have a target and you're targeting someone and you know they're in the same room, how are you targeting them when you know they're not alone? Casey says, I don't think it's weird that the Gonsalves is talking about Maddie. I think Maddie's parents couldn't handle talking about everything and left it to Steve. Well, I mean, considering that Karen and Ben couldn't even accept the degree together for Maddie. Did they agree on that together? Like, is Ben cool with that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's fine if he's their spokesperson, but to say my girls, it's just very possessive to me. And to me, it makes me uncomfortable, but it may not make them uncomfortable. I'm just saying for my preference, I would prefer someone not speak of my deceased daughter as their girls. Like, this is my girl, this is my daughter, but everybody's different. And I appreciate your comment, Casey. And I love you, girl. Let's see. Back in the USR, we don't know. This shit could have happened the night before. This could happen the day before. We don't know. If they were going to sleep in the same bed, they probably would have chosen the bigger bed. Why wouldn't they have been in Kay's bigger bed? Right. Good point. Leno, I believe Kaylee came out and closed the door. Maybe fight took place outside and she was done inside bathroom and then placed next to Maddie. Wait, maybe fight took place outside. Oh, like outside in the hallway? When she was done in the bathroom and then she was placed next to Maddie. Like maybe thrown next to Maddie. For the record, Dylan is sus to me. They made it seem in the beginning that Dylan and Bethany were together in the same room on the first floor. They said both roommates were on the first floor. If Kaylee's cut from behind, her tatas are big. Wait, where are we? And would pull the skin down, causing tearing. Oh, I don't know about that. Bethany was extremely close with Maddie. Dylan wasn't around everyone as much. Sorry about the ads. Got to pay the bills, guys. I think she was in her room and heard something and said someone is in the house and went to check on Maddie. Hey, Speculation Station, welcome. Girls their age are very touchy-feely, extra huggy. I'm a hugger. I'm huggy as fuck. The pandemic almost killed me. I'm not a hugger. Keep your hands. Don't play with my hair. Don't. I know nobody wants to touch my dreadlocks. Just kidding. He has 3 to 4 daughters. Calling my girls doesn't strike me as odd. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, in my opinion, in like my mindset, I wouldn't be comfortable with it. But whatever. He just seems to have a lot of. He's very much an alpha. He's very much an alpha. It's because you don't have premium? It is. It is because you don't have premium. You need to get premium, then you don't see all those ads. But you're gonna see fucking ads because I gotta pay my fucking bills. They've already taken away a month of, I had to go a month with no income. Have you ever gone a month with no income? It's really, really fucking hard to do. So. All right, here we go. The question, Kelly, the reason we know the 2:52 a.m. is because of Kaylee's sister said in an interview, correct? I think initially, yeah. I don't think the cops ever talked about that, did they? Oh, you know what? They did. The lady cop, or the lady that came out of the Clear Blue, she did one interview. Let me see if I can find it. She's called the PIO. Let me see if I can find it. It was weird. She looks familiar too. Like, I've seen her before. I have no idea why. Oh, shoot. Figures I can't find it when I want to find it, but she's blonde. Mary P. Why? Do you think I'm cold or something? Yeah, Suze, I agree. She says their legal background, the Mogan parents, is bad. Mm. Yes, jammers. Let them play, let them play. The alias BK said K came in during attack on M. Oh, this is Papa Rogers. Papa Rogers said K came in during the attack on Maddie and he went crazy on K. But that could be a cop with inside knowledge that made that profile. What? I don't see any ads.
Just
I pay
help a brother
$12 a
out
month. The thin blonde lady. Yes, her. Obsessed. Thank you for your $4.99 super chat. She says, sorry about the cold, Jay. Thanks for always keeping us Roberters warm. Well, thank you. You guys have warmed me up. I'm about to toss this blanket to the side, Disneyland. Thank you so much for your super chat. Okay, now I've got to find it because y'all haven't seen it. Let's finish this video. It's just about done. We've got one more statement from Steve, and then we'll find that video and watch her. Let's finish this up. We all have ADD here.
They have concluded the murders are not connected to an incident last month when Kaylee told friends she was followed by two men. Police found no pattern of stalking.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure she did not report it.
Just want to make mention of his face, says to me, I wish she would have. Or B, she couldn't report it for some reason. Because it was associated with something maybe illegal going on. I'm doing a frickin' Cathy with a C, damn it. Is it possible, Lee says, someone was inside hiding to hit third floor, someone outside to hit second floor, DoorDash was the signal to go in? Maybe. Hey, Prying Paula. Sounds like a garbage pail kid. Prying Paula. I'm sure she didn't report it. So is he sure she didn't report it because Moscow hasn't said anything about it? Or is he sure she didn't report it because it's something that she wouldn't have reported because it was illegal? Or who she thought it was doing something like... Who were these two motherfucking guys? Right? No, Robin. That's still a mystery. The Range Rover's a mystery. How she afforded that at her age, working at the Mad Greek. If the Mad Greek pays Range Rover salary, find out if their asses are hiring.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure she did not report it.
All right, so that concludes part one of our live stream. Okay, and there was a clip of Steve G giving a scenario on an interview. I think it was on GMA or maybe, I don't know, one of the many. He did a lot. Saying targeted. He was talking about targeted. And he says, to me, still, Mandy, $36,000 vehicle. No. Hustled and saved her money? Bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit because you don't go to school full time, work at the Mad Greek, and get a $36,000 car. Or where did she work? That's right. Maddie and Xana worked at the Mad Greek. Where did she work? Where did Kaylee work? The coffee shop in Coeur d'Alene? So where was she making money in Moscow? Regardless, you don't work retail shops or like service jobs, and you can't afford fake tans, you can't afford fake nails, you can't afford fake blonde. This girl is Mexican. Her hair's dark like mine. She had bleach blonde hair. That shit costs money, yo. Money, money, money. And you gotta freaking upkeep that shit. Then where did she work? Where'd she work? Eco Lab? Huh? I thought she was getting ready to go do that. She was going to work there. She didn't work anywhere there. She was going to school in Moscow, Idaho. As far as we know, she had an internship set up she was fixing to leave for. Okay, so she didn't work at the Mad Greek. Where did she work? Because she worked at the coffee shop in Coeur d'Alene. Doesn't even make sense. Lala got beach vibes. Hey, Lana. $20 an hour? You're still not going to make enough money to get fake tans, fake blonde, fake fucking nails, a fucking Range Rover. You're just not. And rent. And rent. And then if you look at the Venmo, internships are not paid, first of all, okay? An internship is called an internship because you don't get paid. You're literally working for free, okay? Trust me, I know. You work as an internship. No. But you still have to make those payments, even if you get a loan. Do you know what the payment is on a $36,000 vehicle? Y'all got your fucking head in the clouds, man. I don't know where she was going to work. Her dad said in IT. Right, who financed it? Where'd she get her job history? Did someone co-sign? Paid internship is not going to pay you big bucks to keep up this. No. Sorry. You're not going to convince me of it. I had myself a Jeep that was financed. Well, after the lease, they wanted to finance it at the tune of $34,000, and they wanted me to pay almost $600 a month. Portuguese? They're Hispanic, aren't they? I thought he even said that they were Mexican. Yeah, one of them said it. They were like, here we were Mexican, and then we had Maddie, and Maddie was like this blonde. They're not Portuguese. But you can't sit here and say, oh, well, maybe she got it free. I mean, she probably didn't. Most of us don't get shit for free. Oh, lashes, too. So lashes, nails, tan, hair, plus a Range Rover. Sorry. You can't hustle enough between 18 and 21 to have that kind of money. Sorry. You're not going to convince me. So let's just forget about it. Oh, yeah, she was going backpacking through Europe. Yeah, by herself. Who was paying for that shiz? I mean, if she was doing OnlyFans, more power to her. Fuck. But he did, okay, so let me go back to what I was saying. Steve did say, he gave a scenario of being targeted. And he said, to me, targeted is like, let's say they leave a strip club and they get followed. His words, not mine. They leave a strip club, they get followed. That's targeted.
Just help a brother out here.
It doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter, but someone said, do we know how she got that car? And no, we don't. So it does matter if she had a sugar daddy, if she had someone on the side, it does matter. You got to remember, she broke up with her boyfriend. Who can just go backpacking across Europe? I don't know. I watched a lot of the Gonsalves interviews, and they talked about their vacations. That her parents said that Kaylee would be like, no, I want to go to 3 countries, not just one. Dude, this shit costs money. Good credit, though, from what? I don't know. Yeah, she did say she was proud and she worked hard, but I don't expect her to say anything else. Because it's really none of our freaking business if she was a stripper or if she was an OnlyFans girl or if she did online remote work for fucking IBM. It doesn't matter to us. But what I'm saying is we're all nosy. That's why we follow these cases like freaks. So I know y'all care, but you do care. And it could have something to do with her murder. We don't know that. When my boyfriend graduated college, he backpacked through Europe. He had good credit, worked as a waiter at Ruby Tuesdays, and had a ton of graduation money. I don't know. I just think there's more to it. It seems very judgy. No, we're just trying to make ends of it. Okay, let's switch gears. Good thing, as one divided we fall. Why no reports from the party of 150 goers? No incidents or conflicts. So it's really interesting to state that the cops later said, we have no evidence that there was a party. And your guys' buddy Einan Harsh said it was relatively quiet. All he heard was a scream. Thank you, John, for your $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Well, Prime Paula, there must be something in the works with the finances, because Kaylee Gonsalves banks, she had several, and they requested all those records. So why, I don't know. Did no one else have a bank account? I'm not sure, but she had several bank accounts going on, and they subpoenaed those records. So I guess we really need to kind of just keep an open mind.
Prepared to graduate from college, some families are mourning what could have been. It's been 6 months since 4 University of Idaho students were murdered. Alex Miller spoke to neighbors in a college town gone quiet.
College graduation, it's a time of excitement, of new beginnings. But here in Moscow, Idaho, this week, it's been a little bit quiet.
I haven't seen as much excitement for this graduation, compared to the previous years.
Paige Erbely graduated from the University of Idaho and has stuck around Moscow for work. She says there's a cloud over this year's celebration, falling exactly 6 months to the day since 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered. 2 of the victims, Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Gonsalves, were seniors and should be walking with their classmates.
The town is very, very sensitive too right now.
The house still boarded up, patrolled by security 24 now. The house still boarded up.
You're supposed to do exclamation point, mute. Thank you, Mary P. So they still have Hell's Canyon there. And Mandy, thank you so much. Robbie Johnson is, it's exclamation point muted. Robbie Johnson is the PIO. Why she wasn't doing any other things, but we'll find her. Here we go. Robbie Johnson. Why does she look familiar? Does she just have that familiar face? I mean, I see Prime Paula says, I doubt these kids are doing drugs or whatever. I'm not saying they were doing them. You don't have to do them to sell them. If it's an easy way to make money, go to the corner club and, you know, sell some pills and make a few hundo. I'm not saying that's what they were doing, but, oh, I guess you can't really see her face. Hold on. Oops. Oh, whoops. Hold on. So she went on Banfield. I'm not playing that shit. Here we go. KTVB.
NBC's Aaron McLaughlin spoke with Moscow Police Department Public Information Officer Robbie Johnson about the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. She says police are still looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra like the one you see on your screen. It was seen in the King Road area around the same time as the murders. The crime scene house is on King Road. Investigators believe the people in the car may have critical information.
So we know the vehicle was there, we just don't know who was in it, who may have owned that car, who may have information about what happened that night. So that is a real big focus right now as we try to get those answers. Naturally, they were at the right place at the right time to potentially see some sort of activity. Like a lot of our tips and leads, sometimes people don't know if what they're providing is critical information, but we still want that information because as we piece everything together, we have specific things we're looking for.
And today we're going to be interviewing Robbie Johnson as well. We'll have an exclusive look at what she has to say about the investigation on our later news.
Did she do a longer one? I never saw a longer one with her.
Breaking news right now, Moscow police will be giving an update today on the ongoing investigation into the murder of 4 University of Idaho students. They just announced the press conference on Facebook within the last hour. At this time, we do not know.
I don't see a longer interview with that lady. She lied. She didn't do a longer one. Not that I can see.
So do you know how many people have been revisited and re-interviewed?
It's all part of the investigative process.
So I can't get a number?
Because we are ongoing in this process and doing it as leads come in and as new information comes in, you know, that number is not something we're concluding at this time.
Understand. Have you had a chance to do an exhaustive interview with the person who drove Kaylee and Maddie home from the food truck?
Ooh, this I have not heard because, like I said, I don't listen to these motherfuckers. But we're about to talk about Eric Gower, right? One Maiden Nut. Remember when Banfield was reporting there was an epidemic of students doing TikTok dances? Yeah. I sure do.
Originally, it was an Uber driver, then it was a private party, and then I think it's a sorority ride program. But there was a driver, presumably, who heard a lot of things that were being...
Okay, so first of all, it's a little disturbing to me that a guy would be a sorority driver. Why? I mean, they certainly can find a girl to drive girls home. Why do they do this when it makes no sense? She looks like the lady in The Shining, but with blonde hair.
Said in...
No, you know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of someone that was in the Patrick Swayze trial. Maybe a lawyer or a prosecutor or somebody.
Seats that were occupied by Kaylee and Maddie may have heard a phone conversation. But have you done an exhaustive interview with that driver to find out what was said? And if so, was it valuable?
Rest assured, we're interviewing anyone in any way that could know what happened that night, provide us information to help with this case. No, that's just part of the ongoing efforts we're making. And again, we understand these questions, wanting to have answers, how hard it is for the families not to have them. But again, when we talk about these specifics, this information, we have to keep it safe. We have to make sure we're using the information for the integrity of the case to make an arrest and ultimately go to trial and get justice.
Sure. Understand. One of the former tenants in the home showed us a picture and also recounted that when he lived in the home as late as 2019, December 2019, exactly 3 years ago, he recounted that each of those rooms was rented separately, and thus each room had a keypad lock to enter. So it was almost like a communal living. Everybody would share the living room and the kitchen, but they effectively weren't, known to each other prior to perhaps renting the house. One of the pictures that we saw in the social media showed the room across from the kitchen did not appear to have that keypad lock. Do you know how many of those bedrooms had individual locks?
Of course, we've been hearing all about speculation and questions about locks and so many other things about this case. And really the best service we can provide to the public and to this investigation is really to remind people that all the information we have that is appropriate for release, we have done that on the website and our official Facebook page. So we really ask you to go back and look at all that information. So as you're hearing things, cross-check it with that to see.
Blah, 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 blah. And congratulations, Jason, on your sobriety. That's amazing. And anybody else who has beat that demon. Yes, she is quartz. Jammers. That's amazing. So it says grower in the PCA, Mandy, but it's Gower. When you look him up, it's Gower. Katie Short Gower is his wife, and she works at the Moscow Police Department as well.
We have released because if
that has never been released. That's why I ask.
I'm sorry, say again.
That part has never been released. It's not on any press releases. It's never been addressed. And it's a curious piece of information given that a prior tenant has testified to the press and has shown visual evidence that his downstairs bedroom door had one of those keypad locks. And he said every one of the tenants had one. So my question is just, did every single room still 3 years later have those keypad locks? And if not, which rooms did, which rooms didn't?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that's not information we're going into at this time. We're focusing on the information that's really critical for the investigation itself.
So I'll push a little further on that, fully respecting what you're saying, Robbie, and that is that Jeff Kernodle, Xana's dad, reportedly was at the home the weekend prior to the murders. Xana's mom, Kara, told us that he had worked on the lock just that weekend before. She was unclear if it was an outdoor lock or if it was an indoor lock, perhaps.
Okay, so that leaves us with me playing this. And it's just going to be audio. You're not going to have the visual of this. But this is
University of Idaho's campus. First.
Damn it. You know, I'm just having all sorts of bad luck because I just went ahead and deleted the damn thing. I did. Pretty sure I did.
Were to be convicted. Sentencing could.
Son of a gun. I had her clip of her saying that too.
House just off the University of Idaho's campus after another roommate called police.
The results of autopsies indicated that the four were stabbed multiple times.
I just don't have my shit together. Here we go.
Xana's room. Are you aware of that information? And if so, what, how have you plumbed that piece of information with Mr. Kernodle?
Well, investigators, of course, are working with any information that comes in, information about the house itself. We also have
that
family
piece?
liaisons.
Do they know about that piece? It happened on our air, which is why I find it's an important question. It wouldn't necessarily have been something that you were privy to unless you were watching that night, which is why I asked that question. Mrs. Northington, Kara's mom, said that Jeff Kernodle, Kara's dad, was there the prior weekend working on the lock. So I'm just curious if you knew of that information, and if so, have you been able to follow that vein?
Remember, we're not going into specifics or addressing these types of things because we have to have the information we have and keep that close because we don't want to put out something that could jeopardize this investigation. We understand that people want all these specific answers, but that's not our main goal here. Our main goal is to have justice for these victims and the families, and that's what we're focusing on.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
So what's the deal? Because Jeff Kernodle said that he said himself that he worked on the lock or he fixed or replaced the lock, something along those lines. Then Xana's mom did a call in and she said that
Creep Town, dude.
Thank you, David. She said that he worked on a lock. She didn't know if it was an outdoor lock or an indoor lock or if it was on Xana's door or whatever. And he was there in the parents' weekend. Okay? So I think there was a picture in our video of Xana, her sister, and the dad the weekend prior to the murders. And somebody asked earlier, I gotta get her off my screen. I can't. The cop who was taken off the case that was originally the lead detective is this man here. His name is Tyson Barrett, and he's on the left. And he is standing outside of the King Road address with, I think that's Gotta Get a Gun, Durson. Hey, Kelly. Okay, I was just trying to catch up on chat. But that is who that is right there. And then That was it for now. Pretty sure. We were going to talk, I was going to find that picture of Xana today, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, he was there the weekend prior, and there's a picture of him. Oh, here it is. There's a picture of him, Xana, and I think it's her sister together. Here's another picture I found. I don't know when this was taken, but I find all these random like screenshots. So I don't know when this was taken, but that looks like the King Road house, doesn't it? And that looks like that black jacket, possibly. I don't know. This one, I thought it was a sausage, and then I was like, oh, it's just big guy in a little coat talking to hoodie guy. The grub truck. So I wonder, is this Eric Gower that walked? I mean, Eric Gower picked them up. So I don't know. And then Katie, Eric's wife, is on 2020 as a really good friend of the girls, speaking about them. That was November 13th, the year before. How do we know? And then here is another picture of Maddie and Bethany on the deck. And you know, just beyond those pine trees, if you look through those openings, you can see right through it from that road. And let me see if I have any other ones. I know there was several I wanted to ask you guys about. Oh, here's the one of Jeff. Right here. Of course, it's not going to let me open it. All right, there it is. So there's Xana, Jeffrey, and I think it's her sister. Hi, Zelda. Rochelle Rivera. Eric Gower pulls up, yells to the girls, hurry up, because Taco Bell was about to close and he had to pick up an order for his wife. So did they go through the drive-thru with him? Because they would definitely have footage of that, right? And I have one more photo, guys. Bear with me. You guys have been awesome. You guys are the best audience ever. You guys are amazing. Here is, oh, I've got two more. I think you guys will find this interesting. I've never seen this one before. This is, I do have that video. Rochelle, I do. This is actually at UI, and this is a photo of agents. This is allegedly some FBI agents, from what the article said. I was like, what? It looks like fucking students to me. But they made it sound like they were like convening, but this looks like a picture of students and like people registering over to the side. I don't know. Weird. I've never seen anything with Eric speaking out. Even anonymously, I just heard that they talked to the driver and that he wasn't a suspect. But I think at colleges, they kind of need to maybe have, you know, women picking up girls and vice versa. Oh, 2 more photos for you guys. Here is one. And this one scared me. This is Emma Bailey. She scares me a little bit. If I saw her with a mask and hair up, I would... I have that video, actually, of Jeff. Hold on. So someone said that Julie Fry picks the grand jury. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure they would do that. I don't know. Whole thing seems like a conflict of interest, to be honest. It's weird. It's all just really weird. Where is that dang picture? It was of Dylan, and I had never seen this one. It's really awkward. The heck did it? Oh, that's not it. This. Have you guys ever seen this photo? Of Bethany and Dylan. And do you know where they are right here? Most awkward pose ever. Like, Dylan has the most awkward pose. Oh, it was the Daily Mail. Thank you, Kelly, that spoke with the driver who had a Taco Bell receipt. What time was his Taco Bell receipt? You guys have so much info. You guys are great, man. See, all of us together, putting our heads together. Is that a frat house? It's not just her height, it's her, she's not feminine at all. I'm sorry. She's not. She's very awkward. She's standing like a guy. And Bethany has the, normal female pose. That's very awkward, very, I don't know. Sorority house. I don't think it's just her height. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I see those symbols. I don't know what that means. I know nothing about sororities. That means it's Greek to me. Well, I think she's trying to have a feminine pose. She's trying to stick her ass out. No, Dylan's taller. So Dylan's like 6 foot tall. The symbols are pi, beta, pi. Dylan Mortensen is on the left, and Bethany Funk is on the funkin' right. I don't know, maybe this is photoshopped. You know, there's some fucking weird people out there that have done some fucking weird things to photos, but if that shiz ain't photoshopped, they dress alike because they're in Greek life.
Town, dude.
T. Bobina, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, she's trying to bend down. I don't know. Fucking weird. But yeah, she gives me the creeps, the chills, whatever. You freaking name it. Jeff Kernodle. And I'm confused. Like, is Xana from Arizona? Is she from Idaho? Where is she from? All right, here we go. I think this might be it. Oh, gosh. Of course. I'm going to freeze up now. Can you guys still hear me? Hopefully I haven't gotten disconnected. Bear with me, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. Hotel Wi-Fi coming in hot.
Tonight, new information in a case with Arizona connections.
Police now say the 4 students killed inside a home near the University of Idaho were stabbed to death. One of them, Latah County, was from Avondale. No arrests have been made, and a coroner says there is no indication that drugs were involved.
This case is still very much a mystery. So many of the other students now leaving the campus as police work to try to get to the bottom of what happened here.
New tonight, we're hearing from those who knew the Arizona native. ABC 15's Ashley Paredes spoke with a friend and also a former coach as the nation waits for answers. Ashley.
Xana competed, and now I watch the girls in the gym and seeing this happen.
She didn't really worry about the drama stuff that much.
Yeah.
She wasn't into that. She just...
The university opened with a number code. But what door is he talking about?
And Mogan and
Yeah.
Xana was hanging out at home with her boyfriend.
2 other female roommates, Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonsalves, were killed along with Xana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, who Jeffrey loved.
Her and Ethan were together about a year, give or take some.
A year, give or take. Number code lock is the front door. So he switched it out, but why? Why would you suddenly switch it out?
But she really, when I went up there, I saw her just, a week before that. She changed a lot. She had a life. She got to see what it was to have a boyfriend to live with and have a real life. And she really turned around and was being really responsible, helping him out.
What does he mean she turned around and was being responsible versus being irresponsible prior? I don't know what he means by that.
He did studies and stuff. I was really impressed.
Coronel says
her
there's
studies.
one thing the autopsy shows for certain. Xana, a strong-willed girl, fought her killer until the very end.
Bruises and just, maybe hurt by the knife or whatever. Shooting stuff. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
Okay, he said she had bruises. Yep, give or take a year. She had turned around and she was being very responsible with her studies and stuff. And, maybe she was a party animal. Who knows? He did not say he changed the lock. He just talked about the lock. Let's listen to this again. I got to listen to it again.
Yes, a lot of questions. Xana Kernodle was raised in Idaho, but she spent time here in the valley since her dad moved to Avondale a few years ago. He describes her as fun, smart.
But didn't they just say she was an Arizona native? Wouldn't that mean she's from Arizona?
Strong-willed, and says,
okay, you guys are 100% right. You're 100% right. All he did was say it locks with a number code. But someone could have went behind and opened the door. Hold on a second, you guys. I'll be right back. Okay, I wish it was room service. Okay, so he said that the front door opened by lock or by number code. He didn't say anything about it not working. Her mother called into Ashley Banfield and stated that he worked on the lock the previous weekend. But it doesn't sound to me like Steve and Kara, or whatever her name is, talk. So I'm confused about that. And Banfield took advantage of her mother in that situation. I think they paid her. I don't know, that whole situation was really bad. So let's finish this interview.
And shooting stuff. She's a tough kid. Whatever she wanted to do, she could do it.
Okay, so he did not say he changed anything. That all came from her mom. Maybe he had changed the code for them. Maybe they need it changed. Maybe they needed the code changed. I don't know. But he said she changed a lot. She was very responsible, but maybe she was a little partier, maybe she was a social butterfly and she started doing better at school. I don't know. But I have to close this out. My son is trying to get a hold of me. He has a flat tire. So I have got to go. I'm sorry to end this abruptly. You guys, thank you for tuning in today. We will have more on the Idaho 4 very soon. Thanks, you guys. You guys are my tribe. Dance it out. Have a good evening, you guys.
You and your problems, I don't give a damn. talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You're mad at me for not giving you comfort. You say that I'm away so much and now you don't feel the way you felt when we were younger. But that's okay for me, 'cause